She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Do you take it personal when somebody kind of, I don't know, lodges over a little missile? And maybe the missile has nothing to do with you, but do you just sit there and go, oh man, that hurt. Did you hear what they just said? Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the show. Every day we bring you content that is going to help you to succeed in every area of your life. There's a particular mindset and an attitude that actually devalues you in the marketplace. We are about seeing you succeed, helping you to succeed. Every day I volunteer my time, and we have a team that works so diligently and hard to bring you a show with quality content that's going to cause you to think, also to keep you on track and help to pull out of you some goals, some dreams that you have, and to help you form a life in you that has purpose, that has destiny, not just getting by, not just mediocre and average, not just somebody who just, throws in the towel whenever something gets hard and says, forget about it. That's where I grew up. Grew up on welfare, pregnant at 17, homeless at 21, but millionaire by 23. Today, a multi-millionaire who gives 100% of the profits of our company straight to the poor, not to myself. I'm not even salaried. I believe that I'm choosing to live a frugal life so that we can help transform the lives of those who live in extreme poverty, orphans, widows, people who are sick, people who are victims of natural disasters. And I want to challenge you maybe to live your life different than everything else that you see, because the status quo of success, I think, is a giant facade and a lie. And I definitely think it's filled with striving and never being satisfied, never accomplishing anything that actually makes you feel good inside. And that's why I challenge you every day. So if I'm volunteering my time to help other people, you being included, then I believe that you should return the favor. And even for today's show, especially for today's show, because we're going to be uncovering something that is a truth that exposes some deep hidden hurts, wounds, and lies that actually deeply hurts and wounds your earning power. It keeps you from getting your next promotion in business or in your career. It stops you from becoming the financially independent person that you truly deep down inside want to be. You do not want to have financial struggles your entire life. You don't want to be struggling with debt your whole life. You do not want to always be in need. You don't want to be the one that's always saying, we can't afford it. We don't have enough. I get paid in 2 weeks. I wish I could, but I can't. We're always broke. That is not the destiny for your life. And if that's what you're living, then you need to be listening to this program every single day, as well as not just keeping it to yourself. You need to share this with other people. We've got a world that is a mess. I know you know that. It's dark. It's dirty. It's disgusting. We live in a time where people call that which is evil good, and that which is good, they call it evil. We live in a time of massive confusion on all fronts and poor leadership in every sphere of influence. And we need people like you to rise up to be all that you are called to be. So today we're going to uncover something that really is hurting your finances, and it's actually hurting your personal relationships, your relationships with the person that you want to marry or one that you did marry. It's going to hurt. This actually hurts your relationship even with your kids. And this is something that had me lassoed by the neck. I'm not kidding you. If I felt like I had a rope around my neck with a plastic bag tied over my head, suffocating the life out of me. I was somebody that got so easily hurt by the opinions of other people. And when you can get hurt by the opinions of other people, you can't stand strong. You can't handle rejection. You can't handle correction. I want you to ask yourself this question. How do I handle correction? When someone corrects me, when somebody points out something that wasn't quite right, didn't quite reach the par, here's the deal. When you make, and I have to tell you this, we have, I've been running companies for a really long time, and this is something that I've noticed. When somebody comes in at a really good level of income, let's just call it, $50,000 a year, $50,000 and above. When somebody's making $50,000 a year above, there's a certain level of standard and detail and dependability that you're being paid for. It's not just the actual tasks, the physical tasks that you do, but it's more of how you do those tasks. And do you meet those deadlines? When you start at a wage like that, there's a certain level of leadership that you're supposed to bring to the table, dependability and problem-solving ability. When you're at that level, you are not supposed to be one that gets your feelings hurt. You're not supposed to be one that takes it personal when correction comes. If you have that position and you're one that takes it personal when correction comes and you get hurt or you get mad or you get defensive, you're not going to stay at that level for very long. Those who do not get mad, those that do not take offense, they don't get offended, they don't take it personal, they don't get defensive. Those are the people that climb up into those six-figure realms, and then let's take it up to the million and billion-dollar realms. You see, people that make a lot of money like that generally have the character to understand that different people have different opinions, and they also understand that everyone needs an editor. Everyone needs an editor. I'm going to say that again. Everyone needs an editor. So how do you respond when people point out something that didn't meet the standard? Do you get defensive? Do you judge the person who pointed it out? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, they're a control freak, or, oh, they're such a perfectionist. I feel like I can never do anything right. Careful. Because if you're being paid to do a job, or you're married to somebody, and that is what your belief is about the person you're married to, that they're a control freak and you can never do anything right, that's an internal belief system you have. That's an internal belief system, an insecurity you're wearing. And if you can't have somebody point something out without you blowing up, getting hurt, or defending your position, instead of saying, thank you so much for sharing that perspective. I absolutely missed that. I appreciate it, and I'll work on that. That's someone that can answer correction, or somebody that can not only answer correction, but somebody that has, something's pointed out to you that maybe should change or is perceived in a wrong light. Whenever you address that with a thank you so much for pointing out that perspective. I didn't even see that perspective. I appreciate what you said. That builds trust. And if you can communicate like that, you are going to get promoted in your business or your job. You're going to be promoted in your marriage and your relationship with your children. Because how you solve problems is always being solved with people. Whether you like it or not, we solve problems with people. And if your approach to solving problems is creating more problems, which is being defensive, lashing back out, taking it personal, getting offended, judging people for what they said, you then start to clam up, close yourself out, isolate yourself. That's what you begin to do in that particular scenario. So now that means the person doesn't have the freedom, which is healthy, to confront an issue without being afraid that you're going to freak out. So this is something I personally work on, especially in my personal life, especially in my marriage. Got it pretty dialed everywhere else, but that one that's super close to me. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I used to be awful. I would go into a deep depression. In fact, I went into such a deep depression for 4 years, I retired. I left my business altogether, and I completely just was done. I was pregnant with my fifth child, and I was like, gossip had come out, and I totally got offended, even though everything that was said was a complete lie. And my character spoke for itself. My track record spoke for itself. But yet, this missile that was lodged over into my heart, I allowed it to just deeply wound me. And why? It was a wound from my past. It was a wound from the past. And I couldn't stop thinking about it for an entire year. I let it torment me for a whole year. And I walked away from a 7-figure income. Walked away because I couldn't handle it. That's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So what about you? Tell me about the last time that you were offended by somebody. And what was your response? Or what was the situation and how did it hurt? I want to hear from you. We have some folks here waiting. Lisa Marlene from Pennsylvania. Lisa, what about you? How do you handle those situations?
Hi. Well, basically, the story that I shared with you is I just recently got into a car accident, and it was in the middle of the night, so I reached out to several people that I know, and one person in particular who I've been speaking with for a couple months, he did respond. He said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. The car is totaled." He was like, "Really? What happened?" And I told him what happened, that the car spun out of control. I hit the median, but I'm okay. And it was scary, but he was like, "I'm just glad you're okay." So he was supportive.
Yeah.
But I wanted him to be more supportive, so I said, "Could you come by and give me a hug?" And he said, "I'm working." So I, being very sensitive, I'm a very sensitive person, and since I like him more, I took it as an
rejection.
insult.
And rejection.
That he didn't care enough about my feelings.
Yeah.
So I said, "I feel like you don't really care. I just got into a car crash and I would like support." And he was like, "You want to play like you're the victim all the time." And he was like, "But you don't understand that I'm at work." And so we kind of went back and forth, and ultimately he ended up calling me selfish and inconsiderate, and I ended up calling him unsupportive. And he said that he doesn't think that we should talk anymore. And it really hurt my feelings, because not only did I get into a car crash, but then ultimately a relationship that I did value with someone was...
Lisa, I'm going to ask you a question. First of all, I'm so sorry about your accident, and I'm so glad that you were protected in that accident, and I'm really sorry about this communication that happened. First of all, you obviously are super highly emotional after, a car spinning out of control and totaling a car. You know what I mean? So, of course, you're not going to have...
I was okay.
Yeah, but still...
I wasn't harmed physically, so...
Yeah, it's highly emotional experience is what that is. But at the same time... and honestly, in that kind of a scenario, you're not going to have self-control. You're not going to respond in patience, and you really were in need. And so, obviously, this guy is not qualified, honey, to be in your life. I think that's pretty clear. And that he is insensitive, and if there was some kind of a romantic relationship going on here, he should have been there in a half second, instead of saying you will always play the victim. Now, here's what I do want to ask you, though, and there's something I want you to explore for you. Is this the first time someone has ever said that you are, don't answer me quickly, is this the first time someone has ever said that you are often a victim? I want you to ponder on that for just a minute. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is The Dani Johnson Show. Did you know you can take The Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success. No donkeys, no elephants, no blaming, and no excuses. Just real solutions that will really change things. That's real leadership. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
When you have several people saying the same thing over and over again, several different people from different places, and they keep telling you that there's something about you, a character trait that maybe needs to change, it's something that we need to look at. That's when you kind of need to perk up your ears and ask that question like, wow, in this case with Lisa, am I a victim? Do I often speak like a victim? So Lisa, I asked you to think about that before we came over here to the break. And here's why. Because we can get in a cycle of victim. I used to live in that cycle. I had so many villains in my life, you know, a millionaire that embezzled my business, my husband that cheated on me 30 days after we were married. 3 months later, he was living with another woman in Japan. My bank account was drained. I had $35,000 in debt. I was a complete victim. And I had a cycle of being a victim. It was a habit that I had in my life. And so I agree that that man was incredibly insensitive and very selfish. And I don't believe that you should be in a relationship with him. It's toxic between the two of you. It's only been 2 months. This is a good sign from God saying, move on, honey. This is not who I've got chosen for you. But there is something to explore, Lisa. Do you find yourself often in victimized situations when people will not come to the rescue?
Yes.
Okay. Now listen, hold on.
I do.
And this is, we have to explore this, Lisa.
It's a reoccurring pattern from my childhood.
That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. So were you abandoned as a child? Were you abandoned as a child or neglected as a child?
Yeah, pretty much. None of my needs were met. Both of my parents were drug and alcohol addicts. So they did not meet mine or my siblings' needs as a child. So we have a lot of psychological issues. Right now I'm in college for psychology, so now I understand more
about what's going on.
About, like, why my relationships don't necessarily work out and why I was the way, or why I am the way I am. That, you know, I do have to heal from all of the pain and abuse.
Yes.
You know,
and so, Lisa,
neglected.
Yes. Lisa, here's what I want you to do.
It just keeps reoccurring.
Yes, I understand. And Lisa, this is what I want you to do. You need to find a counselor is what you need to do. I have been going through counseling for 2 decades, and I will probably continue to be in counseling for the rest of my life. And why? Because here's the bottom line. The Bible says that a wise man has many wise counselors. And there is wisdom in that because there's other people who may be older or more experienced or that can help walk us through that very healing. The last thing in the world you should be in right now, the last thing is in a relationship with the opposite sex. That is the last thing you should be in. Because until you are healed of the trauma from the childhood, you're going to have toxic relationships. You're going to attract other people with the same tendencies. That man who lashed out against you, who ignored you, who did not meet your need, that's the guys that you're going to continuously attract until you get healed from the situation, okay? So you need to find a counselor in your local area. And since you're going to school for psychology, I'm so proud of you for doing that. And it's starting to make sense. But you need to find somebody, whether it's at the college itself, or find somebody that can mentor you in this particular place and walk you through that healing. There's no shame in that. Hello? The perfect person to be studying psychology, who wants to be a psychologist, is one who is being mentored by one who is actually in therapy themselves so that they can get that healing. And now from experience, you're going to be able to bring other people through healing. So I believe this is an awesome opportunity for you to get healed, but also to get the experience of being healed so that you can walk other people through the same exact thing that you're walking through. So no business dating somebody right now, girlfriend. You put your whole focus on getting healed, put your whole focus on your schoolwork. And I believe that as you change, as you grow, as you develop, as you grow personally, as you learn new people skills, you're going to attract a completely different man into your life. I know you've heard the statement. You got a jerk magnet on your forehead. Yes. And why? Because it's a pattern in your life. And that literally is what you're sending out there, man. That is who you are attracting because you are a hurt person. And a hurt person is going to attract hurt people into their lives. So if I can move through that, you can move through that. If I can be healed, you can be healed. If I can make the point to go to all kinds of training seminars to learn how to get healed, if I can make a point to have been mentored by somebody in that way, so can you. And you're in Pennsylvania, dime a dozen people that are around there. Find somebody, stick to it, do not quit on it, and just sign yourself up that this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. And why? Because it's wise. Not just because of your childhood, because it's wise. Even people who don't have a bad childhood, they should be in some kind of mentorship. They should be mentored by somebody. They should have many wise counselors in their life if they plan on having success. Thanks so much for sharing your heart. Again, I'm glad you're safe. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Are you easily hurt by people and their mean comments? Stay tuned to the Dani Johnson Show. This next segment is for you.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First steps to success, register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to Dani Johnson, I was struggling in my business. I was drowning in debt. Me and Crystal weren't doing so well either. In the last 21 months since our first event, I paid off $36,000. We actually got engaged, which was the best part, and my business made $90,000 last year, and I've given over $5,000 to orphans this year as well. So I can tell you that this has changed my life, but I want to recommend that you come to this event and learn as much as you can from Dani Johnson.
I attended a First Steps to Success event, and after the skills I learned there, I started a home business. I've made over 5 figures in 1 month. Actually, I've generated over $90,000, which is way more than I ever did working full-time at my other job. So we have increased our income, paid off debt. You know, more than that though, we no longer have that pressure. It's just been such a blessing to my family. So, you know, everything might be awesome in your life, but if you want to increase your income, pay off debt, improve relationships, live the life you've always wanted to live, I suggest you get to DaniJohnson.com and register for the next event.
After plugging into Dani Johnson, we made a covenant that we would either move forward together or we would go our separate ways. And in a matter of days, we sold his car, we bought our engagement ring. 5 months later, we were married. We paid for our wedding in cash because of the business skills that we had also learned from Dani. And we've since then more than quadrupled our income. And we've been together now, married for over a year.
And after plugging into Dani Johnson, we have paid off $196,000 in 13 months. My company has grown 90%, and I have relationships that I could never have even imagined with the ones I care most about around me.
Prior to attending my First Steps to Success, we were drowning in debt. We had lost a business. My second marriage was going down the toilets. I had no time and relationship with my son, and I was just a mess, and I was burning out fast. After attending First Steps and been to a few events, we have a thriving business that's gone international. We have paid off 65% of our debt. We are not just making money, but we're saving money and we're learning how to grow money. I have got a marriage that's gone from barely surviving to thriving, and I now have 2 children with whom I have so much time. I am not burnt out, stressed out, and all I can say is you've just got to get here.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace, and God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hurt people have a tendency of hurting more people. But you might say, Dani, what in the world does it have to do with success? It has everything to do with it. Money comes from people, and people who are hurting hurt their earning potential because of how they treat people. And one of the things that I can tell you has very low value in the workforce is an overreactor. One who gets offended really easily. One who out of that offense hurts back, gossips, complains, purposely doesn't do the job that they should be doing. We also see that in marriage. I was that person in marriage. I used to actually look for things that my husband would say that would hurt me. Why? Who I was back then was a kid that was victimized. I was molested from the time I was 3 to 16. I was brutally, physically abused by my stepfather, who I thought was my biological father. I was brutally, verbally abused, emotionally tormented, and mentally abused by this man who was hurting himself. And as a man that was not healed, as a man who had a terrible childhood, turned around and did the same thing to us 3 girls. And so that's what I did in my relationships and business and my personal relationships. I drove people away from me because of how I felt about me. Somehow I deserved to be mistreated. Somehow I deserved to be criticized. Somehow I deserved to never be happy. Never be happy. Why? My childhood spoke to me that I was worthless, useless. I could never do anything right. I would never amount to anything. So I'm living proof that you can be healed. I am living proof that there is a healing process that can make you more valuable in the marketplace and more valuable in the home. But if you're one who easily gets your feelings hurt and you flip out and then you lash out with your mouth, or you play the silent treatment or the cold shoulder and you're hugging the side of the bed and you will not forgive and you don't have self-control, you better deal with these issues, because it shows everyone around you that you cannot be trusted. And it shows everyone around you that you have the maturity of a 3-year-old. Grow up. Get healed. Get counseling. You need to succeed, and you need to be a light on a hill for all the world to see. You need to be someone that's bringing healing and restoration, not bringing hurt. You need to be somebody that's a part of the solution and not the problem. So today here on the Dani Johnson Show, we're talking about taking offense and the price that you will pay because of it. And what is the solution to it? How should you be acting? And maybe how did you act? And did it hurt the situation or did it make it better? We're going over here to Donna Hiltz from Florida. Donna, what say you concerning taking offense, overreacting, getting your feelings hurt so easy?
I actually ended a 44-year friendship over an event that happened.
Wow.
It was someone I had known since I was 14 years old, and we were always, talked, and she's had numerous troubles over the years, and I always felt I was, the ear of the listener and whatnot, what have you. But the balance in the friendship had shifted to where it seemed like, it was becoming about always hearing about her and her life and her troubles and her issues.
Yeah.
So one day I was sharing with her, that I have a great job. And I was sharing with her that it's a point in my life with my daughter getting older now that I want to branch out and get back more into my artwork and move back to Maryland near my family and buy a house. And she said to me, well, I can tell you right now, none of your dreams are ever going to come true. Ooh. But all of mine will, because mine are practical. And I merely asked her, I said, what would make you say something like that, not only to me, but to anyone?
Yeah.
And she really didn't quite have an answer to that. But it was, I regarded it as a good thing. I forgave her. I pray for her every night, but I decided it was a level of toxicity that actually was holding me back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question.
I had held on for the sake of, I think, the number of years, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. How long would you say the relationship was toxic, though?
Pardon me?
How long was the relationship toxic?
Honestly, I would say only for about the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever confront the issue, though, Donna? Did you ever sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation about that toxicity?
Yes.
Okay.
And she actually would, start to see a counselor, stop seeing a counselor, take medication, stop taking medication, that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I appreciated that it was at a moment where she was, A, not seeing a counselor, and B, not taking her necessary medication properly that prompted the lashing out.
Right. Right.
Do you understand what I mean? So,
yeah, I clearly know what you mean.
Again, like I said, I was hurt at the moment, but in looking at the entire big picture, I felt more that it was perhaps something that had been allowed to continue for too long.
Well, and you taught her it was okay. Now, this is what I'm going to say, Donna. First of all, I'm really sorry because losing a 44-year-long relationship is very, very difficult. But you said you pray for her, so which gives me liberty to open this door.
Sure.
Here's what I'm going to say. And the reason why I asked you, did you ever confront her about the toxicity of the relationship? That means you did what was biblical. You did what was right. And that you don't just the obvious elephant that's in the room that's black and dying and abscessed and disgusting. We don't ignore it, but we need to go ahead in a loving way and confront the issue, hoping to bring restoration. The Bible also tells us that we don't just do that once, but a minimum of 3 times, that we bring this to the person's whatevers. And it says, and if they still will not change, then it is when you cast them out. And that was Jesus that said this, okay? That's not Old Testament, that's New Testament. Then you cast them out if they refuse to change. And so obviously abusive relationships, or in this case, very selfish, one-sided relationships, it is important to confront those issues. Now, here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. Because you know that you responded in hurt, right? You said that a few minutes ago, that you responded in hurt and you cut off the relationship. Okay. So now, you said that you have forgiven her and you pray for her and you wish her well. What I would recommend you do now is I want you to send her a card. And I want you to remind her of who she was when she was 14. And remind her how you've believed in her and you will continue to believe in her, and that you miss the healthy part of what your relationship was, and that you are praying for her, and that you do forgive her for what happened in the relationship, and that you hope one day that you guys will be able to have a good, healthy, functional, mutually encouraging relationship, mutually edifying relationship again one day. That would really bless her. And that would perhaps cause her to think did I screw something up? Or, you know what, I do miss that friend. And that person did speak life over my life. Do not point out what she did wrong, but just simply fish her some love. And you know what? You leave it in God's hands at that point, but at least you're doing the right thing, because the relationship was broken up because of hurt. We don't want to feed hurt. We want to feed forgiveness. That doesn't mean you walk right back into all of her negativity and her saying something like what she said, speaking that terrible thing over your life. And so you would perhaps, depending on her response, gradually enter in, and whenever there is a time where toxicity comes in, it's like you're going nowhere near that. You know what I mean? You're going nowhere near that. And that's a conversation that perhaps, if she responds well, that if she says, you tell her, you know what, I would really enjoy a great relationship with you in a healthy way. And if any point any of our conversations are not healthy, we're going to choose to pull back a little bit until we can get healthy. So that would be the biblical, godly thing to do. And I can tell in your heart, you're ready for that. You're ready to write that sweet note and to lodge over some love down where she's at. And by the way, I break off that thing that your dreams will never come true. Nonsense, woman. Nonsense. You go for it. You go for it. You go for it. And I'm sure you're already in the midst of making it happen. Thanks so much for sharing. That was really, really powerful. Mary Elizabeth Lanier from Sugar Land, Texas. Welcome to the show. Hi. So tell me, been hurt? Your response? Take offense? You get your feelings hurt?
Yes. The last time that happened, I was going to be part of an organization, and I got a call from the director, and I thought, oh, good, he's going to ask me. Instead, he was very angry, and it took me a while to figure out why, and he kept telling me I knew why, and I didn't. And I thought of a conversation I had with another mom. I thought maybe she told him something that was wrong. And she had. He told him something that wasn't true. And what offended me was he said I was a detriment to my child, that when people saw me, they would run the other way. And I said, really? He said, yes, when people see you, they run the other way.
Oh, my God.
And he said things like, no time for me. And I said, well, you called me, though. He said, yes, he would like and have a meeting and talk about this.
Right.
So I agreed to the meeting, and it was a week later.
Wow.
And so I prayed about it. I got off the phone, and I was just horrible.
I bet.
I called up the mom. I said, what in the world did you say to him? And she said, well, I told him you had planned on following the group around when they went on the trip, and that's not allowed. I said, no, I was simply asking you questions. And that's not what I said to you. Why did you say this to him? And she said, we've had a lot of psycho moms. Wow. I'm like, but I'm not a psycho mom.
Wow. Hold on a second, Mary. Hold on a second. Okay. Hold on a second. Wow. Wow. Really? You know what's so sad is that's the level of maturity in mothers today. Gossipers, slanderers, they live a life not even realizing that they hurt somebody else's reputation with their own jealousy. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
My name is Andris and I'm from Latvia. Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a struggling English teacher back home. I had a language school that I started when I was 21 and had grown it to be pretty okay in my city. But at the same time, I had acquired a debt of $60,000. In a matter of 8 to 9 months, I got rid of my debt. And by 2011, we had our first $1 million year. This has been amazing. We grew our school from about 100 students to 2,000 students, and I can only highly recommend for you to come to the next event and be part of this community and learn the tools that will help you to succeed.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, my family and I were hemorrhaging under the pressures of debt. Since attaining First Steps to Success in January of 2014, my family and I have paid off over $147,000 in 19 months. We're completely consumer debt-free. We have restored relationships, and our business is growing at a rate of 15% at every event. Your next step is to sign up for the next First Steps to Success and start creating your own story.
My name is Jeff Conyers, and prior to First Steps to Success, I was a struggling business owner. I had discovered that my business account went negative $5,000, and I realized that I did not have a business plan and I needed to do something. Fast forward to 1 year after, I have now created, just by implementing the tools at First Steps to Success, over $50,000, created another business, improved my personal and business relationships. Man, it's like the story is forever changing, and it just gets better and better. I don't know about you or what you're going through, but I would highly recommend getting to First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, we were drowning under a mountain of debt. We were heading to divorce court. We had failing businesses and toxic relationships. Since plugging into First Steps to Success, our marriage has been restored. We have paid off over $56,000 in 11 months. We've helped our community pay off over $300,000 in 14 months. My business has grown in over 600% in 4 months. And for the first time, I could say I'm just loving life. I have great relationships. So if you are fine where you are, then this event is not for you. But if you're ready to reach your goal and to change your life, then I highly recommend that you get registered for the next event.
Hi, my name is Jill Kearns. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Prior to coming to First Steps to Success, my husband and I were struggling financially and were hurting in our relationship a lot. We needed more time together, and we just were struggling with that because of the finances. And so since plugging in, we've actually paid off over $280,000 in debt. We're completely debt-free, and more than anything else, the look on my husband's face of relief and excitement about where our future lies, and the traveling and the fun, enjoyable times that we'll get to spend together as a family is totally worth it. So if you want to have better relationships with your significant other, your children, if you have a desire to be completely debt-free and released from that bondage for whatever reason, whatever the burdens are, your next step is to get to First Steps to Success right now.
So prior to getting started to DaniJohnson.com, I was a college dropout. I was working a bottom of the barrel type job. I started plugging into her training. I've skyrocketed through the ranks of corporate America. I've tripled my income in the last 5 years. That's all fine and dandy, but it wasn't, there's a part of me that had a part missing. So I ended up using Dani's prospecting skills, and I ended up meeting the love of my life. Since then, we've paid off $32,000 of debt since October 2014. So get here now. This is the greatest thing ever. You have to see this. The skills and strategies Dani teaches are unbelievable. They totally took someone like me with no education and helped me just like multiply my efforts. So you need to be here.
So what is success? A big house? A big title? A big fat paycheck? Dani Johnson has had them all, and you need to hear what she discovered when she had them. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Good sense makes a man slow to anger, and it is to his glory to overlook an offense. That's from the best success book ever written, not mine at all, but a book that you have access to, the Bible, which teaches us how to work with people, teaches us how to make money, teaches us how to raise our kids, teaches us how to get healed from physical or emotional or mental pain. That book is the book I cling to every single day. And that statement that it is good sense, it's wisdom that makes us slow to anger. It's good sense. People allow things to fly out of their mouths so flippantly, so easily, a tongue lashing, usually based on assumptions. And we live in a really hostile, really hurting world, and you have to know how to deal with people that are like that. Joining me right now is Mary. Mary Elizabeth from Sugarland, Texas. She was just sharing a story about, some random mom that launched a grenade against her reputation and caused another person to think that she was a dangerous mother, a psycho mother. And you know what, Mary? This is what I have to ask you. What was your response? Did you get offended? Did you get hurt? You told me that you prayed about it and you went to call that other woman. Was that done in good sense, or what was your response?
Well, after I got off the phone with the director, I cried and cried. And I was really very hurt. Yeah. And I did call the mom. I was angry, but I wanted to know. I didn't really understand why she would do this. Mm-hmm. And when she said there's been psycho moms in our organization, I sort of understood, because there are rules and there have been some moms that have broken the rules.
Right.
And I prayed about, the thing that hurt me the most was what the man said, that when people see me, they run the other way.
Yeah.
So I prayed, God, is this really true?
Yeah.
Because I know I had a lot of anxiety about my child going on the trip.
Yeah.
And I talked to other moms about it. And when I had the meeting with him, I said, all I could think of when I prayed was that I have a lot of anxiety about letting my child go on this trip.
Yeah.
I homeschool. He's never been away from home.
Yeah.
He's young. I was talking to different moms about it, and I know that easiness is a loss. And he said yes, as a matter of fact. He thought that was probably it.
Wow.
Now, it's not really true, though, when people do like me, like what it's not. But it had a grain of truth in it. And I could see that I was being needy. Yes. Now, with the mom who called me a psycho mom, now she just, I didn't really have a relationship with her, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, she's trying to protect the organization. She's been in it 20 years. She's had 3 sons who've gone through it.
Yeah.
I sort of understand. It was mainly what the man said that hurt me.
His interpretation of what she said. So, I mean, she lodges a grenade and then he interprets it in his own way. You know what I mean? Like he added, people want to run from you. You know what I mean? That's what he added to it. And that's what people do. That's what gossip is, right? They hear something and then they add to it and then they say it to someone else and that person adds to it. And then pretty soon it's like, oh my gosh, it's disgusting.
He even told me I had a bad reputation. He said, no, he said, you are getting a reputation. He said that to me.
Wow.
In our meeting.
Wow.
And I just feel like he really believed the other woman, what she said. Like, I told him, I really hold your organization in high regard. Mm-hmm. I'm thrilled my son is in it.
Yep.
I've entrusted his life. You can trust me that I will follow your rules.
Yeah.
But okay. Now, I was not asked to be part of it, but I can kind of see why, because I really get hurt. Really. Yeah. I really do. And there's another woman who handles his personality really well. Mm-hmm. And she's been in the organization, and I wish I was more like her, and I asked her about it. And she said, well, I don't let it bother me. Yeah. I speak the truth with him, but I wait till the right time because he can't.
That's all wisdom. That's all biblical. That's all wisdom, you know. What she just said is wise and biblical. And here's another thing, because you this is what you said, and this is where we're going to go. You said, I get hurt easily by people. The reason why you get hurt easily by people has nothing to do with the current people in your life, Mary. It has to do with wounds that you have not dealt with from your past.
And that's exactly what the Bible study teacher said. She said this is hitting on a wound.
Yep. This has nothing to do with the other moms. It has nothing to do with that man. It has everything to do with some unhealed issues that are inside of you. And so that's why you get hurt so easy. And so somebody says something and you kind of freak out about it, get upset, get angry, or get sad, cry your eyes out about it, is because you're actually crying about something that happened to you when you were a kid. That's really what this is. And so it almost is tormenting. And this is how it was for me, tormenting. I got to close this up with this. Here I was retired. I And I retired from speaking and retired from business and for about 4 years. And the reason why I retired, in all honesty, was initially because I was hurt. Somebody had launched a grenade at me, somebody that I worked so hard with, somebody that I helped, somebody that was a failure that now was making a 6-figure income, somebody that I helped pay off $60,000 worth of debt, somebody I established in 2 businesses as well as in a speaking career. And boy, oh boy, her insecurities came out anyway, when she reached a certain level of success, and this does happen to a lot of people, it happened to me, it happened to her, it's happened to most of my clients, but you reach a certain level of success and now all of a sudden you believe your own press, and now the insecurities start to rise up, and she felt like she needed to compete with me. And so she wanted to destroy my reputation so that she wouldn't compete with me and that she would be better and then I would be nothing. And so she launched all kinds of unbelievable lies, and it hurt me so desperately. So 4 years, I'm hiding. I went into hiding for 4 years. I didn't talk to anybody. I wasn't speaking. I wasn't teaching. I wasn't doing business. I wasn't doing anything. And then the desire to speak again, I sold my clothes. That's how much I knew I was never going to speak again. I burned my intellectual property, which was worth millions of dollars, because I just knew I would never speak again by one gossiper, by one insecure gossiper. And so when it came time where God really started to put it back in me to speak again, I went and I met with my pastor and I told him what I had done before. He had known nothing about my past at all because we had just moved to this new area 4 years before. And I knew that the Lord was calling me to come and help people and to teach them first steps to success. So he says, I think you probably should start in the nursery. And I was like, he goes, Dani, we're such a small place. I mean, this is too big and it's too much for any of us. I think that you're probably called to go elsewhere. I'm like, all right, cool. So then he says, maybe you should talk to the women's ministry lady. So I did. And she was also new there. She came from LA. Now we're living in this tiny little mountain town. And when I sat down with her and I told her what my past was and what I taught people and all, I had a big giant file of testimonials from our clients who went through first steps to success. She was so excited. She was in tears. She goes, this is exactly what these women need. I have been praying for you, Dani. I've been praying for this. This is such an answer to prayer. I'm excited. I'm going to bring it to the board. Well, in a church that I thought I had good relationships with, she comes back a week later and she says, Dani, I'm really disappointed to tell you this. And I said, what? She says, they said no. And I said, what? Really? They said no. Wow. What did they say? They said they don't like your long brown hair. I said, what does my long brown hair have to do with anything? And they don't like your curves. And they feel like they have to guard their husbands when you are at church. And I was like, have y'all seen my husband? Why in the world would I ever want any of these suckers? Ew. I'll tell you the rest of the story when we continue right now after this break.
Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
My name is Chelsea Drinkard. I am 25 years old and from Tampa, Florida. And like most college students, I was a recent college graduate, got my first big corporate America job that we were told we were supposed to do. But I had a problem. Within the first couple weeks, I found myself crying every single day after work. I thought I was going to get fired. I was on a path to financial destruction, and I had no idea how to communicate with my family or my boss. Within the very first 6 months of plugging into DaniJohnson.com, War on Debt, and First Steps to Success, I annihilated $2,500. And weird pause. I also increased my value so much by applying First Steps to Success and what you're about to learn right now, gems, that I was offered a promotion, and I received a 10% increase in my pay. When I did decide to leave, the business, I became so valuable, the CEO pulled me aside into his office for a private one-on-one meeting, asking me what they could do to keep me. Not only that, since then, I've just started, through War on Debt, I'm hosting War on Debt weekly classes. I'm facilitating War on Debt webinars. I'm living life by design, not by default, like the rest of my other friends who are stuck in debt in their 20s. And not only that, I'm going to Thailand for the 3rd time this November. I'm working with women and children rescued from the sex trafficking. So I don't know about you, but all I know is if you want to have better relationships with your friends and family, you want to increase your value at your work, you want to expand and grow your business, get more done in less time, I urge you, sit on your seats, pull out your pen and paper, turn off your phone, lean forward and hold on to every single word that Dani says, because this will change your life.
It's time for a checkup from the neck up. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
There seriously wasn't anyone even like remotely close to fascinating or anywhere near as fascinating as my husband. But yet, these women and their insecurities, and mind you, they were a good 10, 20 years older than I was, some of them 30 years older than I was, and they just did not like that I was a size 6 after giving birth to 5 children, even though these were even friends. I know who was on the board, but they just said, I said, so basically, Mindy, are you telling me that I need to cut off my hair, dye it gray, add 80 pounds? And then they might let me teach these principles that have gotten all of this stack of testimonials of results. And she goes, yes, Dani, that's basically what they're saying. She goes, I can't believe this. I don't even know why if that's how they talked about you, I can't imagine. What are they going to allow me to do here? I said, I don't know. I went home and I bawled my eyes out. I allowed other people's insecurities to hurt me so deeply, and I cried out to my God, and I said, do you want me to cut my hair? Do you want me to wear a tint? Do you want me to gain 80 pounds? Do you want me to not wear makeup? God, tell me, what do you want me to do? Because I don't want to do anything that would hinder your work for coming to pass. You told me I'm supposed to go do this, but they're saying no. And this is what he said. No, don't cut your hair. No, don't change the way you dress. No. I formed you to be exactly what I want you to be. And I formed you to be one like Esther, who Esther, if I didn't form her to look the way she looked, she would never have become queen by winning that beauty contest. So I will take you to a people that will receive you and you will bless them. Wow. And I realized I get offended so easy. What happens when one of my daughters, when they reach that age where they want to gossip about their mothers? One of them is in that spot even right now. My other daughter was there a couple of years ago. She's grown out of it. I'm waiting for the second one to grow out of it. So here, wow. What would have happened to me back then if I so easily got offended? I would have been put in a mental hospital. That I got so easily hurt. Now, mind you, kids do that. Kids do that. Come on, how do we have proof? God is the perfect father. And his own kids rebel against him. His own kids flip him off. His own kids won't follow him. His own kids have judgments against him. And he's the most perfect father. I am definitely not the perfect mother. So there's a good chance that my kids are going to lodge some grenades of gossip or whatever perspective that is completely out of left field. Okay? They're going to hold on to something, and it could be influence that they have from other people. Could be other people that change their opinion about something, and that happens. So I knew, I got to fix this. I need healing here. Because if I can't handle other people gossiping about me, I'm certainly never going to get to the place where God is calling me to. Where was he calling me to? Influencing millions of people's lives. And if I care about what all of them think about me, I'd be in a mental hospital. That's why we have to heal. If you are one that gets hurt easily and you get upset and you overreact, it's time to stop. And my recommendation that I made earlier to Lisa, I'm making to you, get into counseling and do it now. Don't mess with this. Your life is on the line and so is the life of others. And you're called to a greater destiny than getting hurt by other people, getting your feelings hurt and getting it done easily. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining us today. God bless you. Have a great rest of the day.
Did you hear that last segment? Do you know someone else who needs to hear it? Go to DaniJohnson.com, find today's show, and share it online. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.